Peter, it's always a pleasure to be able to speak with someone, find out a little bit about their lives and what brought them to the place that they are in life today. Would you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, briefly, what kind of a family you grew up with, how many brothers and sisters you had? Did you come from a religious family, military family? Just a bit about yourself.
I'm Peter from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so it's a bit of alliteration. You might know that Pittsburgh is a three-river city. And so I grew up in a suburb of that. My mother was a German teacher, English literature teacher, also an artist and writer. My father was a lawyer. And I grew up, I was very interested in making like underground movies and simple, with my friends, doing simple creative movies. One was called The Blue Cellophane Man, about a guy who was trapped in a cellophane box and how he tried to get free.
Were you a teenager when that was, how old were you?
Maybe I would say 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
14 maybe.
Using a video camera?
Yeah, just using a simple camera. So I got a scholarship for a summer program, worked with a film director, and we did a movie. It was also about a man seeking his identity. And so I was very interested in film and storytelling, mm-hmm. which is part of film. And then I went to on vacation with my for about, I would say, 4 weeks. Just wanted to get away from everything because I was kind of dissatisfied with all this lifestyle. This was during the Vietnam War, mm-hmm. the protest. I was involved in some of the protests in Washington, D.C., and I was very much against the Vietnam War and the different atrocities that were going on and happening at that time.
Were you a hippie, or?
I would say I was interested in that lifestyle, mm-hmm. but I wasn't like a full-fledged, because I was a little bit young. So I was still living with my parents, and I wasn't like a full-fledged hippie.
Did you come from a Christian family? Did you go to church as a child?
Okay, well, I did go to Methodist church, but there wasn't really an active participation or application. You know, you just went to church. I do remember one sermon that was very life-changing for me, and that was the preacher gave a sermon that was called, "Are We Building Bigger Barns in Vietnam?" And he used the parable of the rich man who thought that he had so much, goods, eat, drink, and be merry, for you have many goods laid up for the rest of your life. But that night his soul was required of him. So he was saying that maybe we were doing this in Vietnam. And people were very upset. Many people walked out of the service. He ended up losing his job. And as a young person, I thought, wow, this is really cool. This is something's happening here. And you can see, of all the sermons, that's the one I remember. So I was dissatisfied with the lifestyle. I personally was a bit very confused, trying to find, like I say, in these movies I was making about my identity and what my purpose in life was. And so I decided just to live for like a couple weeks. And we had a farm. Our family had a farm. It wasn't really a farm. It used to be a farm. But then it had a fire and nobody lived there anymore. So I just lived there with my dog in a tent, and we ate wild strawberries and just had, tried to, get in touch with nature. I would write poetry and walk in the woods and try to get some kind of spiritual link or connection.
And how old were you at that time?
At that time, I was just graduating from high school. I think I was like 18, 19, mm-hmm. like this. So it was one of these crossroads time in your life. At this time, my sister had become a Christian. And she had her own story about, she was involved in witchcraft and different things, and she found Jesus and totally changed her life. And so she told me about Jesus, and so I accepted Jesus. And so now here I am alone, and so I really prayed that Jesus would give me direction in my life, because I'm 18 now. This is I realized this is the crossroads moment. Am I going to get it like a 9-to-5 job, be a photographer? I like photography. Am I going to be like a portrait wedding photographer for birthdays and bar mitzvahs and things, or what? What's my life going to be? And so that was a real turning. That time was very special. And there were rivers there, go swimming in the river and so on. Okay, so then about that same summer, a few weeks later, my family went to Canada, a place called the Thousand Lakes. And so we went on vacation there, and my parents picked up some hitchhikers, which they never do. And the hitchhikers told my parents about a rock festival, which they don't hitchhikers don't usually communicate with older people too much. And then my parents told me, and so of course I wanted to go. And so they lent me the car. By a miracle, it's quite a distance to go there. And I missed Woodstock. You probably know about Woodstock, right? I missed that experience. Yes. So I thought, okay, here's my chance. It's not so far, it's possible.
Must have been early 70s, in other words.
Yeah, this is like 73, 70, 74, something like that. Mm-hmm. 74. Yeah, this is when it was. And so I went there, and I was expecting something really special, magical to happen. And I went to listen to the music, and it just really seemed a bit insincere to me. The people had their own flags, and they were getting up and jiving to their own, they were in like maybe drug trip or something. But there was no sense of any cohesiveness or any community, So I was a bit disappointed. I was expecting, love and music, some kind of bond, So anyway, I decided to go back home after a couple hours there. Okay, I've seen this. And then I was just about ready to go home when I saw a big circus tent, and it said New Nation on it. So it caught my interest. What is that, New Nation? So I went down the circus tent, and this is with the Jesus Revolution, and they were playing guitar, and some of you might know Simon, and he was leading the thing, and Revolution for Jesus, and I'm looking around, and then they're dancing, and this girl grabbed me, and we started dancing, and like kind of gypsy style, not kind of like disco style, but just kind of like folk dancing or something like this. So anyway, I was all kind of amazed by it. Then afterwards, they're serving free peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and this girl gives it to me, and she goes, "Here you go, brother. Here's a sandwich for you." And I'm like, wow, this is kind of strange. What are they doing handing out food? Because everywhere else the food is very expensive, And so we sat down. They're roasting a goat over the fire, and so where are the older people here? It's like all young people here, or, young teenagers and so on. So it was kind of an interesting setting, it was like, and everybody was sitting in groups, small groups, talking to each other and so on. A few fellows started talking to me, and then we went back to I decided, okay, they were telling me about Jesus and verses in the Bible. And I said, like, what? I couldn't understand. Okay, I don't understand these verses like, for God so loved the world. I understand all these words, but I have no idea. It's like another language. Well, for me, that piques my curiosity. Well, how come I don't understand? This is different language, There's something more here. But anyway, I said, well, it's kind of cool because, see, I'm a Buddhist Christian. I was into Zen Buddhism and, meditation and something like this. I'd studied it in university. I'd, been exposed to it. At this time, Eastern religion was very popular. So I said, well, that's cool. I got it covered. I go back because I'm going to go back to the music. Then they came with me, and then it was go back and forth. This happened a few times. Finally, one of the fellows said again, I got to tell you, if a steamroller was about to run over you, I'd say, wake up, a steamroller's coming, you better get out of the way. So it kind of, it just kind of what I needed, I think, at the moment, because I was a bit in a spiritual lethargy state. So it was a bit of a shock, Maybe wouldn't recommend it for as an approach, but I guess for me it was what I needed somehow. And he was sensitive enough to realize that. Yeah. Okay, so it started, I started to...
You're still at that rock festival?
Yeah, at this rock festival thing. This was a real a crucial time. So they explained to me more and so on. And I said, wow, this is very interesting. Like, and you guys, you live together, and this is amazing. And so, okay, I'm going to go home now. I'm going to bring my car back, my parents' car back, and then I'm going to really pray and see what to do, So I brought the car back, and then the next day I went to the neighbor's house, and I opened the Bible, and this has always worked for me. Of course, it doesn't work for, some people, not for everyone, again, but for me, it really works that when I open up the Bible, I pray and open up the Bible, and God always shows me something on one of the pages, or most of the time. I'd say 95% of the time. And, He'll speak to me from a certain verse in a certain way. So this was the verse that he showed me at this time was, take up your cross and follow me. And I met Matthew 10:36 through 30 or 40. A man's foe should be they of his own household. He that loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He that loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh up not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. So taking up your cross, okay, I understood that meant, to embark on this journey. So I really felt like I needed to go see these Christians again. But it's okay, this is a pretty big deal. We're talking about my life here. So this is not just like, oh, should I get chocolate milk or vanilla, So I asked the Lord, I said, please give me some kind of sign. Show me something. And at this place there are many lakes. So I went swimming in the lake, and I got my feet got cut on the rocks. And so I was lying down looking up at the sky. It's like I heard a voice tell me, okay, you have to jump in all the way or stay on the shore. But if you try to wade in and try to be really careful, you're going to get cut. So go all the way in and do this all the way, or don't. But don't try to be halfway, So I said, wow, that's pretty heavy. And then I went fishing, and my fishing line got all tangled up, and I tried to untangle it, it's not working. And I heard this voice say, okay, I want you to be fishers of men, not fishers of fish. And then I saw some sticks on the ground, and to me, they formed a cross, So anyway, this is like, they talk about your reticular activator. I don't know if you heard about this. Something in the middle of your brain that kind of filters information when you're trying to you have your subconscious working for you. Some people, even psychologists say that your mind is pulling in things and working with it. But I believe that the Lord was speaking to me actually, and trying to confirm and give me direction in my life. So I wrote a note to my parents, and I told them, okay, I want to go back and see these folks because these are the Christians that I know about, that as far as because I didn't know much about it, but I kind of like these guys. They're kind of cool, I just liked it. They're like nice guys, nice people, and so I said, okay. I started walking. I couldn't take the car or anything.
So by this time you had developed your own relationship with Jesus. I mean, you felt that you were
somewhat.
Yes.
Yeah, somewhat. I was not based on knowledge so much, more on hearing, like trying to hear. Okay, like hearing the voice, the spiritual voice. So some would call that prophecy, or the gift of prophecy. So, speaking directly with God, not so much through written word, but of course that Bible verse was also. But and also he did speak to me through actual verses about fishers of men. That's actual verse, right? Okay.
So through all this speaking, was that like to your mind or
yeah, when it was
to
very
your
clear.
heart?
It was very clear, you know. It wasn't an audible voice. It wasn't like, like that, but it's like, I could hear it.
And
It's
you
hard to
felt
explain.
that was God speaking to you.
Yeah, well, who else was that? Was that? I don't know. I didn't even think about that. That was anything else. Because and I've experienced this ever since. That when God speaks, it's you don't say, oh, was that the God or was that the devil? It's like you pretty much it's like somebody kind and loving is talking to you. Or or Hitler is talking to you. You understand the difference,
Yeah.
A friend. If a friend's talking to you in a kind voice, like you do, you have a very nice voice, I think.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And anyway, okay. So now I'm walking in the countryside, and I feel really free. I'm really liberated. I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
And you're walking back to these people that you
Well,
had
I'm
met.
back into the main road.
Right.
Right?
Okay, gotcha.
And so I think, wow, maybe hitchhike there or something. I don't know. Hitchhike.
Were you still in Canada at
Yeah,
this
yeah, in
time?
Canada, yeah. So I'm in unfamiliar land. It's way out in the country, so it's like dirt road or something. So I'm out there, I'm hitchhiking, the cars are, they're driving by. So it's going on and on and on, and I'm waiting there, and I'm starting. Oh, maybe I made a mistake. This is too hard. Man, this is too hard. I can't do this. I mean, I'm going to go back because, here, what am I going to do? I'm out here in the middle of this country road, and there's nobody here, and I don't have a car, I don't have a bus or nothing. It's just too tough. I'm going back. And then I heard the voice, "Try one more car." Oh. Okay, it's not going to do any good, okay, but I'm going to do all right. So one more car, right? One more car, and then I'm going home. Okay, stick out my tongue, kind of nonchalantly, not really expecting much. Car pulls up, stops, and inside the car are all these really overweight people, overweight father, mother, 2 kids in the back, quiet. So they really had no reason to stop, because there wasn't really much room. I'm kind of closing the door. Anyway, off we go in that direction. Somehow, it's been a while back, so I don't remember. It seemed pretty easy, the trip. It wasn't difficult. So once I was in the car, they happened to be going the same place, basically, which is, in itself, that's a miracle, because there's so many places you can go right in the country. So then I told them I knew the basic area I was in. So where they let me off, it just so happened that these Christians were in a bus just about to go swimming. And the fellow I mentioned, Simon, he was driving the bus. And so I said, "Hey, can I come with you?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, come on in." And so he was very friendly, kind. And so we came in, and we went to the swimming place. And it was good I showed up that day, because so I went swimming. I don't remember if I had swimming trunks or how did I go swimming. But anyway, one of the guys there didn't know how to swim, and he started drowning, so I saved him. So it was good I showed up. And so anyway, these Christians, they lived in a community, and full time. And so one of the people there said, "Oh, you going to come and live with us?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so, And everybody, we have a new brother, does everybody love him? And all these people started hugging me, and it was very beautiful. And I thought, wow, this is really a lot. What is this? This is something really amazing. And they're very sweet, kind. And so then different things happened, and then my parents had read the note, and they came later with the car, and they said, "Hey, you forgot your bags." Because I think they were kind of glad, in a way. They were glad in a way that I had found some purpose in my life, because, like I said, I was a bit drifting. I had some problems, and like I was taking some drugs, marijuana and stuff, and I found out later that the police were actually watching me, and they could have arrested me, but they didn't. And because my father was a lawyer and so on, respectable, they didn't want to. But anyway, so I came really close to, and they knew it too, and they knew that I could have very well gone down a bad road, like have a destructive lifestyle or a confusing lifestyle or something, And so they realized that this was some purpose in my life. So they were, in that way, they were relieved, Of course, they were saying, well, why don't you come back later? Once you come home, and then you can go and visit these people in Ohio that's not so far, maybe 4 hours drive or something, 5 hours drive. But I knew if I did that, that wasn't going to happen. I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I said, no, I just have to. I feel like that this is my turning point in my life.
And your whole life changed.
Yeah, my whole life changed. Everything changed. And now my whole focus is on Jesus, the Bible, telling other people about Jesus. And after, this was 74, so now that's, now it's 2018, so what's that?
About 45 years.
45 years, so it's quite a bit. So I can, looking back in retrospect, I just want to say to anybody who's watching or listening that it's really a big leap that you do that. But once you do that, you'll be surprised. I have never lacked a meal, and unless I was fasting or unless, a few, maybe, nothing really. I've really never lacked for anything. God, it says the verse in the Bible said that God will supply all your needs. And I can truly say that He's done that. And in many different ways. And He's also given me something, a way to express my creativity in a way that is not confusing, and that has a message, and that is uplifting and inspiring, and rather than something confusing. You've probably seen a lot of art that is not like that, is negative or is not really constructive, or confusing. So I'm really thankful for that, and I think that if you really are, it says in the Bible, seek and you will find. So if you are seeking, that God will speak to you. He will give you this opportunity. But when it comes, it's like a bus or a train. You got to catch that bus. You have to catch that train, and follow that leading, that opportunity, because if you don't, then you may miss that golden opportunity.
Peter, we want to thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
God bless you.
We're very happy to.